Thank you. And hello, and Carlo. Blogging for business. So, anybody in the room got a blog, first of all, before we start? Anybody in the room feel that they still need some help with blogging? Yeah, pretty much everybody then. And that's what I come across every day. I'm dealing with businesses on a daily basis. So what I thought I'd do today is look at some of the main issues that people have when it comes to blogging for their business. And this isn't based on any sort of scientific research. This is just anecdotal feedback and based on my own experience and questions I get asked and the issues that come up for businesses when it comes to their blogging. So the barriers to blogging for businesses. I don't understand why. So there's lack of understanding of what you're going to get out of blogging for your business or what benefits you can achieve from that. A lack of skills, I guess, when it comes to writing. So if writing isn't your strong point, how can you still create an effective blog for your business? Finding fresh ideas for content, because blogging is not just write something, put it out there, and that's your job done. Once you start blogging, it's a long-term commitment, so you've got to continually come up with fresh ideas for your content that's going to appeal to your audience. So how can you do that on a long-term basis? Time. Time is such a big issue for small businesses. We're trying to do so much ourselves that time we don't have enough of it. And guess what? I don't have time to talk about that today. But luckily we have Pat Kelly, who's here, coming up after me talking about time management tips. So we're hoping that Pat's going to give us some great ideas on how we can find more time to blog for our business. What I will say on the matter of finding time for blogging, it does get easier. So when it takes you a long time starting out to write your blog posts, that time will reduce as you become more familiar with it and more comfortable with it. And careful planning up front can help to save you time in the long run. So if you have a good plan for what content you want to produce, you're not sitting in front of a blank screen and spending half an hour trying to decide what to write about and wasting your time doing that. That's enough about time. Pat will tell us the rest. I can't compete, and this is something that I find more in industries where there are established bloggers already. And when you're new to blogging, you are a little bit maybe intimidated by the competition. So you wonder how you're going to stand out in an industry where blogging and good content is being produced regularly, and how are you supposed to compete with that. And the final one that I want to look at today, nobody wants to read a blog about my product or my service or my business, and I hear that quite a lot as well. So we'll hopefully get a few tips for everybody out of this today that will help with some of these issues. And I'm sure, given that we've about 200 SMEs in the room, everybody has come across some of these issues or faces these challenges. Let's start off with why you need to blog. Well, I guess first thing is everybody knows you need to grow awareness of your business. So if people aren't aware of you or your business, how are you supposed to sell to them? So that's one great benefit of blogging. But if we think back, and we've heard this a couple of times today already, about what the world was like before Twitter and Facebook. We did things very differently, and consumer behaviour was very different. So now with the growth of the internet and social media, we as consumers are exposed to so much information on a daily basis. We have access to mountains of information, and as part of that we're exposed to thousands of marketing messages every single day. So what we have done as consumers is learn to filter those messages and zone out of what we see as irrelevant to us. So out of the thousands of marketing messages that we're exposed to on a daily basis, we're only taking in a very, very small percentage. So only a very small fraction of what we hear every day gets cut through. So the challenge then for us as businesses and as marketers is how do we gain that cut through when it comes to talking to our customers and our potential customers. And blogging is a great way to do that. This is where content marketing really comes into its own. because content, the whole premise of content marketing is to produce content that is fresh, that is interesting and relevant, and that in some way adds value to your target market. And if you can do that, then you are making a connection with them straight away. And continually producing that content that adds value to your audience will help to build a relationship that's based on trust. And when you have that relationship that's built on trust, you are more likely to be the person that your audience goes to when the time comes to buy. And that's one of the main advantages of blogging for your business. So what we have here is building awareness, building relationships on a foundation of trust, also establishing authority. And you may see this as even more significant in an industry where you're providing a service rather than a tangible product. If you have a tangible product, people can see it and touch it and see the quality before they buy. But if you're providing a service, how are you going to show the quality of your product? And blogging is a great way to do that, because you can demonstrate your skills and expertise and knowledge in a particular field and help to establish your authority. And all of this adds to reputation building. So if you can build a reputation as an authority in a particular field, then that's where the business will come from. You get referrals, you get connections, you build your online community and build your network, and all sorts of doors can open from that. A couple of practical advantages here which cannot be ignored. SEO, search engine optimization, is so important for every business. And I'm not going to spend time talking about SEO today, that's for a whole other day. What I will say is that continually producing good quality, fresh content is what will benefit your business when it comes to the likes of Google, Bing, Yahoo and the other search engines. And if you do want to find out a bit more about SEO for blogging, Samantha Johnson of All the Buzz has just launched All the Buzz magazine, literally last week. In her first edition, she has a 4-piece feature on SEO for blogging. So if you want to have a look at that, go on to allthebuzz.co.uk, have a look at the first edition. There's plenty of tips in there for SEO for bloggers, and give me a shout because I wrote it. So if you've any questions, let me know. It's a very cost-effective way to market your business, and we can't ignore this. None of us have huge marketing budgets, so we have to continually find a way to market our business that's going to give us good value for our money, and blogging is a very effective way of doing that. And what does it all mean then? Extra website traffic, which in turn leads to extra sales if we can convert them, generating leads, and ultimately getting more referrals to our business. So there's an array of benefits there that you can get from blogging. So hopefully that's quite a good case for why everybody should be involved in this, should be looking at their blogging. So let's look at the next challenge. A lack of skills, or a fear that writing isn't your strong point. And I do hear this quite a lot, because everybody can't be good at everything. It's just not possible. So what if writing is not what you're very good at, but you still want to produce a quality blog for your business? I would say stick to what you know. When you're starting out in particular, keep it simple and write about what you're most familiar with. Play to your strengths. So if you're not a writer, what is your strength? Are you a very creative person? Are you into facts and figures? Are you a numbers person? Are you a great storyteller? Do you take great pictures? Are you artistic? Can you draw? So how can you create a good blog based on what your strength is? So if you're a great storyteller but don't have the skills to put that into writing, if you're better at speaking to people on a one-to-one, how can you adapt that to create a blog out of it? I'd say buy yourself a dictaphone or download a free app onto your phone and tell a story the way you would face-to-face on a one-to-one, and then just translate that into the written form once you've it done. And if you still can't translate it into the written form, get somebody else to do that for you. It's still your words, it's still your story, it's still your blog, but somebody else can just translate it. If you're particularly good at photographs or artistic, being more visual, you can use imagery, a lot of imagery in your blogging, or have a dedicated photo blog. Videos are a great tool to use. So there's a variety of things that you can do if writing isn't your strength. So vary the formats. Infographics are very good to use in your blog as well. So if your strength is facts and figures and numbers, you can translate that into a very visual form using an infographic, which are very popular and very shareable online as well. And if you're still struggling, get some help. There's plenty of help out there, and it could be just getting an editor, it could be getting that person who will translate your words into the written form, or it could be doing a short course on creative writing or a course in blogging, or it could be getting contributors for your blog. And that's another great tip for anybody. You don't have to be struggling with your writing to get contributors to come to your blog. That can give you a great depth of variety in your blog. And there's one blog in particular, an award-winning blog, I might add, that have some fantastic contributors on it. Daldup.ie, who won an award last week for their blog, have some fantastic contributors on there. So if you want to go on to daldup.ie and see how they do that and how they use the variety of contributors that they have. So hopefully that will help if you're stuck with the skills of writing. Next thing, I don't know what to write about. This is probably what I hear most. People struggle to find new ideas for content, for fresh content. And you'd be surprised what you can come up with yourself if you really put your mind to it. Tap your resources, first of all. So you've loads of information on hand. Speak to your customers and find out what they want to read about or what they want to hear about. What do they struggle with? How can you help them out? Draw on your own experiences, because you've been in business and you know your business and you know your customers as well. So when you ask them, sometimes it might be difficult for them to verbalize what they want, but you've dealt with them day in, day out, and you know what they ask you and you know the conversations that you have. So draw on your own experiences. Spend some time to sit down and brainstorm. Have a creative brainstorm session with the guys you work with, because they're dealing with your customers as well. Use the internet and social media. I don't think I need to tell anybody in here that how effective social media can be. So if you're stuck for ideas, go and ask. Go and ask people, or go and listen to conversations that are going on out there about your industry or your products, and see what kind of things people are trying to find out about. Have a look at your own industry, your competitors, and that's not just your immediate competitors. If you're based in Terenure and your target market is just in Terenure, that doesn't mean you just look at Joe Blogs down the road, who's your immediate competitor. Broaden your horizons a little bit when you're researching what you should be writing about. Think about, what are they doing in other parts of the country? What are they doing in the UK? What are they doing in the US? There are businesses like yours all over the world, and somebody has got this right. Go and have a look at the types of things that they're talking about and they're writing about. That's not to say you go and steal somebody else's content. Don't ever do that. If you are quoting somebody, make sure you give them credit for it. But you can get inspiration from other businesses similar to your own and give you ideas how to blog. And the news, try to be topical if you can, if it's relevant to your business. And relevance is something actually that I will just highlight there. If a particular topic not relevant to your business or your products or your audience, then you have no business writing about it, really. So stick to what's relevant, because there are lots of things out there that if you're creative enough and you do your research, you can find loads of different ideas of what to blog about. So there are also a number of formats that work very well in blogs, and the reason we see them coming up time and time again is because they do work and they do get traffic and they do get shared and read. So I'm just going to give you a few examples of some of those formats that work. the list format. And we see these probably 10 times a day coming through on tweets. 10 low-cost ways to do this, 5 ways to do that, 10 new things you didn't know about this, that, and the other. Interviews. So if you can get an interview with somebody who is an expert in your field, it can draw great traffic, if that's what people are interested in. And if somebody who is quite high profile is willing to give you their time and give you their tips and advice, bite their hand off for it, take it and write. Reviews, tried and tested. These work very well. If somebody is going to buy a product, they want to find out what it's like beforehand. So people doing research, reviews of new products work very well for those. Links roundup. So for example, if you wanted to summarize the 10 best websites for this or the 10 best resources for that, it's a way of housing all the information for your audience in one place, so they get all the resources there together. Have a controversial viewpoint. I would just urge caution on this one, actually, because if you do have a controversial viewpoint, you need, before you put it out there publicly, sit back and think, is this going to alienate my audience? Because if this is going to alienate half of your potential customers, keep it to yourself. Don't be putting it out there publicly. And if you are going to write about a controversial viewpoint that you have, make sure that you know your facts and you can stand over your viewpoint, and that you give a balanced and rational argument in your blog post. You can still write about a controversial viewpoint. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to share that viewpoint, but it can attract a lot of attention if you have a controversial headline. And the process post, step-by-step guide to doing something. How-tos work really, really well. Because what do we do when we want to find out how to do something? We Google it. We all do it. I do it all the time myself. And videos work very well for step-by-step processes or how-to posts. But if you are doing a how-to video, just one thing that I find so frustrating personally is that you might see a video that's 11 minutes long that shows you how to do something, but they don't get to how to do it until 8 minutes in. So please cut out the waffle and get to the point. If you're doing a how-to video, make it do exactly what it says in the tin and just show people how to do it. They're more likely to come back to look at another video that you've done or another blog post. If you waffle on at the start of it and try to sell them something in between times, you're going to lose them and they won't be back. And another news roundup. So if there's something particularly topical that's relevant to your industry, and it's all over the news and there's lots of different stories about it, it's a good idea to try to summarize that for your audience and make it more relevant for them. Summarize it for them so they have one place to go, they only need to read the one post and they know what's happening and how does it affect me. So it's a good way to do that. What you can do is take this list and use it for your own business. Try to come up with 2-3 ideas under each of these headings that you could actually write a blog post on. And you'll be surprised what you will actually come up with, what's in your head. Now, all of them you might not use and they may not be appropriate to use, but it's a good way to start to get the creative juices flowing. And if you haven't got the list down, don't worry, I'll put it up on my blog over the next couple of days. And see what I just did there? Driving traffic to my own blog. So do promote your blog as much as you can. Connect with me on Twitter and let me know if you're interested in this, and I'll send you out a link whenever the blog goes up. The idea of competing with your competition. As I said, this is for people who maybe get what blogging can do for you, but they see somebody else doing it so well that they're afraid to compete. So how are you going to stand out? Well, the truth is you have to do something different. And maybe that's your tone of voice. Maybe that's your personality that's going to be different. Maybe you're funnier. Like Steve, he's very funny. Maybe you're more controversial, maybe you give more in-depth analysis about something. What is it that you're going to do differently? Maybe you are delivering fresher content because you are on the ball whenever news breaks. What is it? I pulled out this quote, which I think is quite good. Deliver content that is either unique, more engaging, more timely, or more convenient than your competition. Because that's what's going to work, if you can stand out from those around you. And this final one, which I won't spend too long on. Nobody wants to read a blog about my product or my service or my business. And if this is your problem, then this is your problem. You are focusing on you. And when it comes to producing content, you should not be the focus. Your audience should always be the focus. I hate to break it to you, but it's not all about you. And some of you might take that hard, but I'm sorry, it's true. When you're producing content, the whole idea is to make it valuable for your audience. And if you're not sitting down and trying to write content or produce content that really is going to give something of value to the people that are going to read it or who you want to share it with, then it becomes a self-serving exercise and you quite simply won't get the return out of it. You will get so much out of writing about yourself, but you won't get enough. You will get so much more if you write for your audience. And I've kind of raced through that, I think, have I? So I'm going to leave it at that today. I'll leave you with this quote on the board, but what I do want to tell you about, before I finish up, is I will be holding a workshop on blogging for business coming up at the end of May in Dublin Institute of Technology. And it's going to be a one-day workshop. It's very reasonably priced, so it's very affordable. So if you are interested in finding out more about blogging, or if you want to come along, speak to myself or Dee Duffy, who's here somewhere. Her stand is over here in the corner of the Arthur Wren Retail Centre. There she is, there's Dee.
Stand up, Dee, so we can see you. Yeah, she's gorgeous.
The gorgeous Dee. So either speak to myself or Dee or give us a shout out online and we'll point you in the right direction. But it's going to be a very, very practical day. You come out with lots of ideas, you come out with the basis of a good content plan, and we'll just have a great day's crack as well. And that's me.